Make sure everything's working well on my end. Fantastic. Head over into mod view. Check. Take a drink. Check. And with that, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another stream here on the Overanalyst channel. And probably the first in a duology of videos on demand, if you're catching this after the fact on YouTube. We're back with Spyro Reignited, now that, hopefully, fingers crossed, by all of the data I have available to me, everything should be finished installing now. We had to cut the stream early last night because, it was really weird. The game installed itself kind of in three tiers. Everything should be here now, and also I'm, like, incredibly paranoid about installation times now. So I, just before this, installed the Crash Bandicoot trilogy. Oh, hey, Spanners, good to see you, man. They say this is remarkably early. Yeah, we're actually doing a double-length stream today, so we've got about 2 hours now, then I'm stopping for about an hour for dinner. This the new Skylanders game, they ask? Oh, man, you know, I actually hadn't played Spyro, like the original trilogy, until last night. I played the really poorly received fourth one a little bit when I was very young, but didn't have a whole lot of experience with this series, and, you know, based off of, like, the one world I managed to get through before I was shut down, because the game installed in a really weird three-tiered fashion that precluded us from going beyond the first world of the first game, until it took, like, you know, hours to download something. I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen. I think this is a very charming little series. And it's such a shame that nowadays most people probably associate Spyro first and foremost with Skylanders. A series, mind you, that the IP headlined and was then almost entirely excised from. I think just about everything's in Skylanders now. Oh, you know, whoever publishes Skylanders, is it Activision, Ubisoft, someone? They make money hand over fist. Spanner says, sounds like an EA methodology. Play World 1, then pay up. Oh no, yeah, absolutely. And, all of the gems that you collect in this collectathon would also, of course, have to be purchased. Like, you wouldn't find them, out in the world, of course. No. You would have to, pay just to receive all the gems from a given stage. In a little disbursement, a gem crate, or whatever. Because, you know, that makes for more compelling and engaging gameplay than actually earning rewards for playing the game. Oh wow, I didn't know this. Spanner says, I know Crash was in Skylanders. There's a Donkey Kong and Bowser Amiibo Skylanders thing, too. Wow. They're getting all kinds of IPs tied in. Which is strange, because obviously, I only ever knew Skylanders as that thing that would always be announced in, like, Game Informer or, like, on Destructoid, like, with a new expansion every couple of years or something. But I thought the whole series was along with the entire, I think they call it Toys to Life craze, was dying down. But if they're recruiting actual Nintendo first-party IPs, nah, there's got to be quite a bit of cash left in that, I'd imagine. So, as of last night, we fought an incredibly simple, disappointing boss, and now finally have the rite of passage to the second world.
You may travel to the Peacekeeper's world if you like.
Spanner says, like, they made a vehicle game and then released it for the Wii with a Bowser figure, which was the only way to get it despite it only working with the Wii U release. What?
Are you ready to go?
That's insane. Well, wait, no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Because then it encourages you to buy two separate versions of the game. Alright, so let's check out the second world. This first one was based, on a very loose, like, high fantasy medieval theme. I'm kind of excited to see what what the Peacekeepers world is going to be like. Presumably this is like the dragon military. And if there's one thing we've learned from last night's stream, it's that aside from little baby Spyro, all of these dragons are either completely incompetent or hedonistic jackasses who want no part in actually, like, you know, saving their civilizations. In fact, I think, too, in the intro, the Elder Dragon said he didn't know how many different countries they had. Just had no idea, 5 or 6, you know. I think that might be a reference to there being, like, a secret world, but still. Alright, so this is the Peacekeepers world. Definitely sounds like there's going to be some kind of military thing. So we've got a dragon egg here, along with 3 dragons and 200 gems. So this is going to be a much bigger hub world, I'd imagine.
Welcome to Peacekeepers. Look how our treasure has been stolen and turned against us. Please, recover our treasure.
Yeah, sure thing. Giant dragon with a battle axe. You gonna help, or... of course. No, it's cool. Leave it all to the kid. It's fine. Spanner says, it's the Pokemon method, but instead of getting Caterpie in one and Weedle in the other, you buy 2 $60 games for 2 plastic figures. That's... oh man, what has AAA gaming become? I miss the days of major releases being like this, honestly. Plenty of content, all there on the disc, rewards for exploration and playing the game, and oh look, it's a little... well, I mean, he appears to be some kind of foot soldier, but he's got, like, officers' epaulets and the like, so it's... we've got, like, a vaguely colonial-era military Shrek now. Oh, Spanner's right there with you, man. They say, I hope a dragon has huge hammer. They better. They better. Oh, and we've got Shrek cannoneers. We can commandeer their cannons, of course. So the Peacekeepers live in this kind of canyon. Oh, and one of our cannon rounds just homed in on that Shrek and completely wiped him out. Also, in my personal headcanon, thanks to a comment made by a viewer last night, all of the Norks are now just Shrek people or Shreks. Because why not? This is the internet. We do Shrek here. Obviously, we want to stay away from the roiling toxic liquid. Spanners asks, how's this dragon gonna save the world? He doesn't even have thumbs. Oddly enough, this world is very friendly, despite all the rest of the dragons having, like, perfectly flexible, like, anthropomorphoid hands. Perfectly friendly to people just, or creatures just headbutting everything to make it work. Like rams would have a field day in this universe. Well, actually, some of them did until we, you know, burned them alive, during the first stream. And again, I just have to emphasize one more time how gorgeous the entire game looks. This really is something else. Gonna try and get everything we can in the hub world right now. Gonna do anything, guys? Oh, I'm also curious to see if we'll get 800 million reminders that we can press X at the apex of a jump in order to glide. Well, Spanners, I actually don't know where the dragon states would fit on, like, any number of political spectra. It seems like they're all kind of their own thing. Like, this is a military kingdom, for instance, I think. And the first world didn't seem to have much real structure to it at all. Alright, let's see what this guy has. Oh, dear.
Hey, Spyro. Sparks the Dragonfly has been doing a good good job protecting you. Make sure to keep him strong by feeding him lots of butterflies.
Love the fact that all of these dragons, who we see just for a very brief time each, are afforded their own animations and completely unique character models. They're not just variants of the same 2 or 3. Spanner says this is the military-industrial complex, minus the industry. But yes. Basically, oh. Oh, no, we're going to have to use the cannon for this, aren't we? Yes, yes. Oh, no, no, no. Looks like there might be more stages here, too. Always good to see. There we go. That'll ease traversal, at least. Oh, there's the world's boss, just right out in the middle of the hub world. Okie dokie. Oh, there's our egg thief.
Well done, Spyro. Keep up the good work, and I know you'll...
I love how we're rescuing all of these, like, mighty dragon warriors, and absolutely none of them are doing anything, like, physically to assist us. Hey, MC2M, how's it going, man? We are currently trying to collect everything here in the, Peacekeepers Canyons. There we go. Got us another dragon egg. I saw earned a skill point earlier. I might want to see what that's about, actually. Scare 6 Norks into tents. Alrighty. Spanner says land in the poison and become dry Spyro. Yes, if Mario taught us anything, it's that having all your skin burned off is a good thing. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in Mario Kart, isn't Dry Bowser just a little bit better than regular Bowser in some regards? Or am I totally off base there? Well, I certainly know that becoming a skeleton allows your devs to claim a greater deal of, like, boss and encounter variety than actually exists, so certainly makes them a lot more powerful. Well, the warriors seem to be a good bit wealthier than the artisans, if all the gems are any indication. Let's top up our health. We've got all the dragons, we've got the dragon egg, now we just need to finish collecting all the gems and we'll be ready to start digging around in the world's levels themselves. So, come on, there we go. Spanner says, Dry Bowser might have been in Wii, but I never unlocked it in Wii because I sucked at that game, but in 7 and 8, characters are cosmetic, and the cart you use is what matters. Oh, that's... I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I guess it's great if you just want to stick by, like, a certain cart that you've come to rely on and really, really like, and just want to play with different characters without having to learn a brand new playstyle, but at the same time, it's like, what's the point of having all those cool different characters then? I think we might have used something similar, where all the characters in a weight class were virtually identical. Okay, so we need to go over there. I assume that's where our other gems are. Still blown away by how this game looks, just incredible. Hey Nugget, how's it going? We're about to get into some proper stages, but we've got, I think, 30 more gems here to collect. I was able to glide over to this platform by pressing X at the very apex of a jump. Did you know that you could do that? Did you know, like, just low-key tip, the game has intimated this to us just a couple times, not overblown whatsoever, that we can press X while in mid-air to glide. And if we press X at the apex of a jump, we glide even farther. And no, I'm not going to let that go. I think it's hilarious. Spanner says the cart customization's pretty good, and I guess in DS I only play Yoshi because the egg cart was the fastest. I want to say I remember that being the case in the Wii game as well, or it was one of the fastest. And Nugget says this is your first time playing any Spyro game, right? At length, yes. When I was very young, I played just a bit of the fourth game that absolutely nobody enjoys, on GameCube, and I don't recall having terribly fond memories of it. I didn't get very far and lost interest. And I want to say at a friend's house, also when I was very young, I played one of those weird, like, high fantasy, like, action-adventure beat-em-up games they released between, like, the proper platformers and Spyro, and I wasn't blown away by it either. Now, do we have everything? No, we do not. It's those gems that are going to get me every time, I can promise you that. But so far, I'm absolutely loving what I've seen. I mean, the work done on the remaster is just insane. This is one of the most beautiful and striking aesthetic styles I've seen used for a platformer in a very, very, very long time. Spanner says, I think my friend had the fourth game and won't stop singing its praise whenever we went into this retro game shop. Oh, really? That... Are we certain it's the fourth game? I think the fourth game was titled, like, Enter the Dragonfly or something. The third game in the series, Year of the Dragon, it tends to be very well regarded. But if your friend was a huge, like, fan of Enter the Dragonfly, I can tell you that is a very scant minority opinion. Nugget says, in all seriousness, I feel like they could have expressed it more clearly. From my personal experience, 99% of the people I've asked haven't realized that Spyro actually jumps higher if you hold down the button rather than tap it, so I feel like the game could have specified that you have to hold it. Really? That is strange that a lot of people don't, I guess, intuit that. I just grew up with a ton of platformers where that was kind of just kind of granted that the duration of a button press would affect the duration of a jump. But and Spanner says, yeah, it was Enter the Dragonfly. Oh, wow, that's something. Hold on, I will find these gems. God above, I will find these gems. And Nugget says, Spyro 3 is my favorite of the originals, but Spyro 1 is my favorite of Reignited. Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful. Spanner says, don't most games have that mechanic? They do anymore, anyway. Earlier platformers, that was not the case. And in fact, some, I'm thinking in particular of the notorious Bubsy 3D, had incredibly rigid, like prefixed jumps in terms of not just height, but also length. And yeah, this was honestly, probably for the time Spyro was released, something that wasn't extraordinarily common. It wasn't the first game to do that, but it wasn't, like, just a given. Right then. That said, we finally have everything in this overworld, including the deaths of several rabbits on our conscience, so it's time to dive into our first stage here, the Dry Canyon. All about it. My only real experience with this trilogy, and indeed with the original trilogy, comes from watching a couple of Show Me the Nuggets live streams of, I think it was the third game in the remastered trilogy. So if you guys enjoy this kind of content and would probably like to watch somebody a bit more competent than me give it a go, please follow her channel. She does some pretty fantastic stuff. Anne says, it really annoys me because so many people miss jumps and rage and scream at the game like this stupid game. How am I supposed to make that? I think I know exactly the kind of Let's Players you're talking about. Even though it's user error and they're just being dumb. Yeah, I see a lot of that. Well, honestly, I think anymore, too, right? Platformers have become so unorthodox in, like, the AAA space that lots of people just aren't familiar with the conventions of the genre anymore. Like, I'm talking younger or newer players. How many we got? Oh, 400 gems. Jesus Christ. Alright, let's do it. And yeah, no problem. You are a fantastic streamer, and you're pretty fantastic at these games. I honestly would have just shut the stream down the first time I saw that flossing skeleton in the third game. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to send what audience I have your way. And Spanner says, well, hold on, we'll see in just a moment. Come back here. That's it. Like any good race, you want to stay on the inside of the track to gain on your opponents as best you can. I'm certain there's a better way of doing this, but I also don't care. Spanner says, frankly, I would imagine most people would compare it to games like Crash and Mario 64, which I think both had the hold down mechanic, rather than the literal worst 3D platformer. Not the worst. There are, at least according to legend, worse platformers than Bubsy 3D. Bubsy 3D is probably the ugliest major 3D platformer, but... and I think Mario did, but the amount of variance in the jump was, or at least the initial jump, wasn't quite as severe as it has been in a lot of other platformers. Oh, Vulture, okay. So the Shreks have guns now, and there are vultures. Nice. Now, I do appreciate, also, that there appear to be unique or largely unique enemies in just about every single stage. That's really something. Spanner says, every Mario game has had the sensitivity. I'm pretty sure all the modern Sonic games do too. Can't say for games like A Hat in Time or Super Lucky's Tale. I think A Hat in Time does. I think so. And Nugget says, even my sister, who's been playing Spyro since '98, didn't know about the whole jump thing. She was just tapping, and she's not stupid, so I guess it was just something that should have been specified more clearly instead of at the very top of your jump ad nauseum, which doesn't make a lot of sense on its own. Well, I had a bit of fun last night with the fact that something like... no joke, it's something like 6 dragons in a row tell you how to perform the glide maneuver, and that it's a very, very useful thing to do. Oh, Nugget says, just a question, do you have game audio turned off because we can't hear it? No, I don't. Hold on. That is a problem. We can fix this. Hold on. It's the problem with streaming. You've always got to adjust your audio balance for every new game. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, though. Okay, we're going to... Oh, there's our problem. Okay. For whatever reason, it reset to the last audio setting I had. Try this. Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Otherwise, this would have been a terrible, very long stream. This should be substantially louder. If it's not, let me know, and I'll crank it up a bit more. Nugget says, when I listen very closely, I just hear background and fan noise, not the game. Does that still hold true? Anything from the game? Because if not, then we have quite the problem indeed. I've streamed a couple other games, and none of them have had that problem. Nugget says I can only hear Spyro's flame attack, nothing else. Okay. Is that the same for you, Spanners? Like it's very, very quiet on your end? We can fix this, don't worry. Nugget says I would say just boost it a lot. You got it. Mic's fine. Audio mix. Okay, let's give this a try. Alright. Try this. That's a bit better. Okay, hold on. One more thing I can do. One more thing I can try. Background noise is still louder than the game. Well, dang it. Okay. It has to be something with the way... Okay, let's try this. Better? Hold on. And the fan, unfortunately, is just going to be a thing. As it happens, the AC in my apartment is very loud. Better? Okay, thank you so much. I can also see what I can do about turning off the AC in a moment. Hold on, give me just a minute now. Now it's a bit too loud in my earphones, so we're going to adjust that. It's good now, thank you, thank you. There we go, that should... Oh, that's perfect. And we can hear the beautiful music. Lovely. Now, I didn't just adjust the audio level of the music you're hearing, right? Because I just, adjusted my own headphone level in the PS4's settings. The game does have a pretty stellar soundtrack, I have to say. It's very jaunty. It's Insomniac, like the same quality of the stuff they use for Ratchet and Clank. This is good, though. I didn't just make it ridiculously silent, quiet once again. I don't hear music anymore, but I'm hearing everything else. Okay. Okay, we can manage this. There we go. Yikes. Okay, this should do it. Nugget says it would help if you run around too, because the music gets quieter when you stand still if you have the adaptive music on. Didn't know that. Okay. How's this sounding? Is this sounding like anything at all? This is why I am going to fight like the devil to get my capture card working before too long. Better? Nugget asks, am I playing with the Reignited soundtrack or the classic? I think this is Reignited. One moment. We will find out, though. Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it's better. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. I am open, of course, to making adjustments at any point in time. And that's the second time I've been... Oh, no, there's... like a Shrek Falconer. Okay. Come on. Oh, he's just going to try beating me with the vulture. Alright. And Spanner says, I think you struck a good mix here. Okay, excellent. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate the help. The last two games I played for the stream, I guess were pretty loud compared to my own audio, so I had to use a very, very tight or restrictive mix. Spanner says Shrek with Kazooie. Oh man, if only. It still probably have more charisma than the leads in Yooka-Laylee, if I'm being honest. Yooka-Laylee was a solid game, but actually a pretty good game, but ooh, the writing at times. Ooh, Lord, the writing. Alright. Now you should be able to hear the entire game. Apologies to anybody catching this VOD after the fact if things have been a little quiet. Okay. Oh, the poor Shrek Musketeers. Now, to be fair, this is at least partially our fault, as in the first world, most of the Shreks we saw, like in the first couple stages, were just kind of living their best life and not actively attacking us. But, these guys, no, they're pissed, they've militarized. Spanner says, what does VOD actually mean? It's short for video on demand. It's basically, Twitch speak for, here's an unedited stream archive so you can catch everything after the fact, and also so I don't have to put any effort into editing a video. Or in my case, because I literally cannot edit a video. This is a beautiful area. Not quite as colorful as the first world, obviously, but like the mountaintop vistas they've created are really striking. It's a desert world with a lot of life in its design, if that makes any sense. Now, there's a dragon down here we probably need to bust out real quick.
Is that you, Spyro? Are you the young dragon I've been hearing so much about? Ever since you were a wee puff of smoke, we've known,
You've known...
I forget.
I'm glad this guy is the one with the bombs, really. Nugget says another helpful tip about Reignited is not to forget about the roll buttons. Everyone forgets about them. They were so unused in the original games, they were removed from Spyro 2 and 3, but in Reignited the move was kept in. I use it all the time. It can be very useful against enemies that like to attack first, or getting out of the way of projectiles. Yeah, no, I learned the utility of the roll against the dogs that led up to the first boss, the insultingly easy first boss. Boss was incredibly simple, straightforward. The dogs were not. They taught me to appreciate the roll move really, really quickly. Hold on, real quick, before we carry on here, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything back. And Spanner says, I don't know if you ever put effort in. You always joked about not editing your pasta readings like in the Pet Rock video. I didn't, honestly. So my own video editing expertise, or even knowledge of like proper editing, is next to non-existent. I know a thing or three about sound editing, like for actual studio recordings, but that's about it. I know absolutely jack about video editing, or indeed filming. I can press record and stop, that's about it.
Rewards good gliders.
Oh god, here we go again.
Good glider. Hey, Spyro?
I was born to glide.
Yes, sir, I know to press X at the very apex of a jump in order to glide farther than I could if I just double jump. I was waiting for it. This poor guy, he tries so hard. Nugget says, was I the one that showed you that crappy fantasy Spyro game back in the day or no? I honestly can't remember. You were not. Either I played it, like, at a different friend's house, or I got it, like, as a holiday present that I played, like, for 2 hours. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the wrong one. I think I borrowed Enter the Dragonfly from a friend when I was very, very young. We're talking, like, not long after it came out. And just didn't have a great time with it. But I got the fantasy one, like the beat 'em up, for it was like The Legend of Spyro, one of the Legend of Spyro games. That's it. For Christmas one year, as like just part of a little treasure trove of games, and I remember playing maybe like 30 minutes of it and saying, "Yeah, that's enough of this." This is actually reminding me, like the world design and everything, in particular of New Super Lucky's Tale, which is a cute little platformer I've been playing in my downtime just because I'm kind of fiending for platformers right now. Nugget says, yeah, I got Dawn of the Dragon solely because of the free flight gimmick, that's it. It was not Dawn of the Dragon, I think it was the sequel. And I don't know if that one had free flight or not. Alright, so I think we've got just about everything up through this area. You'll forgive me if I just backtrack a lot, because I'm kind of a completionist in my collectathons as long as there's a good reason to get everything, and I'm also terribly scatterbrained, so I spend most of my time remembering where I have and haven't been. Oh, we have fireworks. Very nice. Very nice. Nugget says Dawn of the Dragon was the final Legend of Spyro game. Okay, so that must have been it. This level is backtrack crazy. Yeah, no, it's very large in comparison to earlier stages in the Artisan's world. But this is good. If we can, like, get a few more stages at this length, I would be very, very happy. The first worlds were really good, but also, again, rather brief. There we go. Spanner says, I feel like 2017 was both a good and rough year for platformers. Sure, we got a lot, but how was anyone meant to outdo Mario Odyssey? Oh, they weren't. Not by a country mile. I can't tell you how happy I was playing through Odyssey. It was one of those rare games. Well, I knew it was a hit because I just sat there with this dopey grin on my face for, like, the weekend I had to myself to play it. But are we going to make it? Yes, just barely. Lovely. It was the first time in quite some time that the Mario series had really done anything totally new, or I shouldn't say totally new, but that wasn't just a recitation of the same, not even the same tropes, but the same formula. You know, generic grass world, generic desert world, generic ice world, and beach world, and so on and so on. And they took the art direction, they took, well, the gameplay and mechanics in a couple really interesting directions. And I don't think you could outdo that if you tried. Because it was just so refreshing to see Nintendo do what they were best at again. After so long playing it ridiculously safe. Nugget says, if any game is worthy of full completion, it's Spyro. Well, honestly, I'm tempted to agree based off of what I've seen, because, yes, there's a lot of things to collect and do, but each of these environments is laid out so intentionally that they don't feel crowded or like you're going to be, like, searching for that one last item for ages. Like, you could complete these games without just tearing your hair out. Nugget says, I like that Spyro has entire worlds with biome themes, not simply one ice level or one lava level, etc. Yeah. And if I recall from watching your streams, later in the trilogy we start to see individual stages with more unique theming as well within those biomes. Where's the elderly dragon with the bombs to lend a hand when you need him? Come on now. There's our key. And our final dragon? Spinner says, I really hope it gets its own sequel. The capture mechanic has so much more room to grow.
With those ugly vultures standing on my head. Those birds might look tough, but they're pretty tasty. Flame broiled with a pinch of salt.
So you're gonna help us, Cat? Of course not. I agree, absolutely. Not just that, but for me, the most enjoyable part of Odyssey was just seeing all of these really unique, creative locations based very loosely off of the real-world tourist spots from all over. And I would love to see them take that formula and see what other types of environments they could create with it. I'll put it this way. If we got a Galaxy 2, we deserve an Odyssey 2. Galaxy 2 is a great game, but if you could come up with so many more ideas for that kind of narrow formula that you thought it merited a full sequel, we need a second Odyssey. And Nugget says, I can 120% Spyro 1 in only 4.5 hours at this point. Oof, Jesus, that's incredible. Good for you. And also, right, Spyro 3 is a masterpiece for theming, one of the reasons I love it so much. I think creating very distinctly styled thematic environments, or even chapters, sections within games, is something of a lost art anymore. Fewer and fewer people are doing it, and really trying to get creative with environment or aesthetic design, and that's a shame, it really is. But who knows, there's been such a resurgence, even through the form of simple remasters like this, of classic mascot platformers this generation, that maybe we're going to see more of that in the forthcoming console generation. And with that, ladies and gents, we have 100% of the Dry Canyon. Largest stage so far, and kind of a fun little, pseudo-open-ended sandbox to run around. The Shreks have militarized at this point, so we've got to be a bit more careful. I have a feeling, since we're doing a rather lengthy series of streams today, I just may be able to beat this game today, which would be, amazing. So, I suppose we should just carry on, taking on all these levels that are out in the open first. So Cliff Town is next, and that certainly sounds interesting to me. And it's going to be one of these lovely little Twilight stages. I absolutely adored the look of these in the first world. Now, I think, come Enter the Dragonfly, they abandoned the idea of, thematically distinct overworlds and just had, a smaller handful of larger levels. I remember the only ones I actually played were, a dojo, a mountain dojo, and, is this a Desperado? Oh, it's like a Zorro Shrek. Alright. And yeah, the level I played just a bit of, I think it was the second stage in Enter the Dragonfly, was a farmland under siege by extraterrestrials, I think? And I remember that stuck out to me as a really cool idea for a platformer stage, but it was not terribly fun, if I recall. Oh, another 400 gems. These Peacekeepers are loaded. Spanner says, stuff like Glidin was so underutilized, especially, basically any Glidon segment could be done by Mario alone. Yeah, that's a shame. Would have been great if we had, some races in the vein of what they did with, sort of the knockoff Loft Wings in, In Mario Galaxy? Oh, no, right. Big ones we always burn alive. That is a rule we learned early on. Nugget says one of the most creative levels I've seen from Spyro 3 is Desert Ruins, which features a theme of like abandoned ancient Greek or Mediterranean kingdom with giant scorpions and acid lakes. So creative. It sounds like it. Oh, frilled lizards. I absolutely love these guys, and they bring back wonderful memories of Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. I will remember what to do eventually. Trust me. I'm a teacher, I know what I'm doing. Oh, look at this. Even the architecture, man, this is a beautiful, very lovingly designed world. I'm not going to stop gushing about, like, visual design through this entire playthrough. Spinner says, oh yeah, the waddle wings. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is what they were called, I think. And Nugget says, yes, I've been wanting to stream Ty for ages now. I saw that they actually crowdfunded, I believe, a complete remasters of the full trilogy, and then they, like, produced a fourth that was, like, a really underwhelming 2D, like, very rudimentary little platformer, which is a shame, but it's great we got remasters of the trilogy. It's a dragon with huge hammer. Yes. Yes.
Remember, Spyro, flame won't work on metal, but charging with your horns, that should do the trick.
He's off to go save a run in Hand of Fate. Leaving us, of course, to do all the work. Alright, here's our egg thief. And given the likelihood of you running yourself off a cliff, I would contend that these guys might actually be the most dangerous enemies we've come upon thus far. Oh wait, no. I mean, yes, I can catch him, and probably will, but, well, I think I've got a better idea. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Well, I had the right idea. Spinner says, now personally the Bubsy Revival game was my favorite platformer from 2017. I forgot about that entirely. Jokes aside, I actually heard that it was, like, decent. Like, not phenomenal, but okay. Does that sound about right? There's our 5th dragon egg. Nugget says, I saw a joke when Reignited came out about how the dragons went from dopey, stupid polygons to daddy AF furry fuel. Having seen, like, some of the dragons from the original game, I can confirm that, yeah, their designs have been really revamped, and yeah, I could see how people would think that. I just think they're all ridiculously lazy and irresponsible for leaving all of this in the hands of a literal child, but, yeah. Also, the like, senile elder probably shouldn't have free reign of the bombs. Just saying. Spinner says, yeah, I heard it's fine, nothing offensive. Which, I mean, for Bubsy is, like, a high watermark, right? Well, no, again, I'm gonna take that back, because I've heard that, I think it was the 2nd and 3rd Bubsy games, like the proper 2D platformers back in the day, were just fine. With Bubsy himself, of course, being the worst part of each. Nugget says, be right back. No problem. Trust me, we will be here a while. So these dragons, as we established, are positively loaded. And I mean, they've got to be doing a killing in poison. Spanner says second is still hit or miss, but the Atari Lynx exclusive was alright, I think. You know, I've actually never played a Bubsy game, but I think the series kind of gets singled out as like... Oh, what's a good comparison? Think about the Medal of Honor reboot, alright? Like, sort of the archetype for unimaginative, follow-the-leader style design in an especially popular genre. Like, there's no love, there's no originality, there's no attempts to innovate, it's just, hey, let's do exactly what everybody else is doing, with fewer resources and less passion. Hey, they were able to crank out a few pretty solid platformers, so I ain't gonna complain. Alright, so I think we've got everything we can from this area. Sorry, I'm just kind of running back and forth a lot. This level's, or these past two levels have been way more open than the ones from the first stage. Now, can we break that down? No. Gotta say, they've got extremely resilient wood around here. Oh, more gems. Alright. Nope, 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 nope. Ah, dang it. Okay, we actually lost a life. Good for, good on you, Spyro. Reigniting, that's clever. Oh, and the Shreks have reoccupied the area. Gotta clear him out. Well, we've already got his egg, so no worries there. Ooh. Actually didn't see the first one there. Now, I can't forget there's a firework over on one of those rooftops that we no doubt need to fire off in order to get some more gems. Oh no, this is our locked chest? Or no, we'll need something a bit stronger to destroy that. It's not locked, so the solution isn't a key, necessarily. Oh, the firework, I'm assuming.
Hey, what's on the other side of that river?
Why don't you glide there and find out?
If I would have thought ahead of time, I would have kept an active glide counter for how many times we are told, you know, there's this mechanic that may be able to help you out here. It's called the glide. Let's see, this should crack open that chest. Right? Yes, and do so in style. Now let me see. How do you automatically descend again? Just... Oh, you can also breathe fire by pressing or depressing the right trigger. That's good to know. Oh, and look, now that we've been to the top of the fortress, there's a little gust of wind that'll blow us right back up. Right? Yeah, there we go. Are we going to make it? Just barely. Whew. A lot of the jumps in this game are surprisingly tight. Yeah, this definitely smacks of Insomniac's general design philosophy. It's a beautiful game that's eminently accessible and controls great, but also has some pretty demanding platforming challenges for you. Did I just hear cannon fire somewhere? Or no. That little slide whistle indicated an enemy being thrown off of a ledge, I think. Got a trophy, Birds of a Feather, for killing all of the vultures, I assume. One last dragon.
You've
Oh,
reached the highest point in
look at this
Clifftown.
one.
You can get to almost anywhere from here. If I were you, I'd use that whirlwind over there.
Why, thank you, Marco. That was actually solid advice. Good, so that'll get us back up here after we head over here to clean up some gems. Okay, folks, so bear with old Brady. We got a fair few gems left to track down. There's 400 here. Jeez. Doesn't look like there's gonna be any more right here. So maybe from that overlook where Marco was imprisoned, we can see a bit more. Doesn't look like there's any way to get on the top of that cairn over there. So, oh, no, not again. Oh, jeez. Amazingly, that's 2 lives I've lost in the same stage thanks to the instant kill poison. Yikes. Alright, let's see what we're dealing with. Nothing over there. It's gotta be somewhere around the actual fortress itself, right? Okay. Now let's think and keep an open eye. So nothing over there. And nothing there. Do we get anything for boiling the kettles any further? Just checking to see if there's anything we can interact with. Ah, there you go. That's 1 of 36, or some odd we needed. Anything? Nope. Well, okay, we're going to need to boil every kettle then. Anything? Nope. Now this feels like a proper collectathon. We're having to track down those last few little goodies. Okay, nothing there. Alright, so this area seems to be pretty clear. What to do then? What to do? mean, is there something over there? Like, yes, there is. Oh my god, yes, there is. Alright, gang, looks like that ought to do it. Nugget says, oh hey, Twitch desktop shows stream uptime now. Yeah, I don't know when they made that change, but they did recently, I would think. And yes, I did figure it out. Children's platformers can't stop me. I do enjoy the kind of openness of the stages in this world, though. Gives you a bit more to mess about with. It does look like, compared to the as I've said before, I think, compared to the artisans, the peacekeepers are friggin' loaded. That's another level down. Now, perhaps next we'll go check out the stages over here. Leaving the boss for last, of course. I will say I'm not... Children... To be fair now, doesn't mean exclusively for children. I mean designed to be accessible to children. I actually had this conversation with, well, one of our friends in the audience last night. As I continually joked about the constant the flight levels, I've just played the one, but I really enjoyed it. By sheer coincidence, even though I had only the vaguest idea what to do, I got everything on my first attempt, which I was told is like kind of unlikely. So I don't anticipate results that good moving forward, but it was. I think it was a lot of fun. They control excellently. There's lots of little objectives to do. Tight time limit. I know. But no, somebody was saying, like, every time I joked about the references to gliding and how you should do it, and how gliding is, of course, performed by pressing X at the apex of a jump, that, oh, they kept reminding me, this is a children's game, it's a game designed for kids, and... Yes, but you should get it by now. Alright, I guess we'll carry on here to the ice cavern. Which... Nugget says, yay, brownie points. Most people hate the flight levels. I love them. So do I, actually. I thought they were a very nice little diversion. And I know later on in the trilogy we're going to see more types of levels that introduce completely non-standard game mechanics. And generally, I really like things like that. Now, the last game we played on stream, Ukulele, had a similar kind of divergent style of gameplay they incorporated into every single world, but it was awful. Awful. Nugget says, FYI, I'm listening to your stream with headphones down. The sound levels sound really good. Thank you so much. I'm glad we finally got that taken care of. Oh, and would you look at this? An ice stage from the Desert Hub, I approve. And also, everything looks completely gorgeous. I think, not just this style, though it is true for this style of art, but most of the engines of this generation seem to do a much better job with a really vivid, cool color palette than a warm color palette, but that could just be a matter of preference. Nugget says this level is beautiful. Yeah, I agree.
A word of caution, little one. Wait until you grow big, like me, before charging those large enemies.
Yeah, I can definitely see where the internet could have a lot of fun with some of these dragon designs and dialogues. Yep, I see it now. And now I can never unsee it. Is there an egg here? No, there's not. No, I have to say, these are excellent little platformers, if my experience thus far is any indication. Obviously, since Insomniac produced them, they remind me a lot of Ratchet and Clank, which was one of my favorite series growing up. Had the same level of kind of remarkable sophistication for a mascot platformer. Yeah, Nugget says, people tend to forget that desert temperatures could drop below freezing at nighttime. That's why I love so much there's this underground ice world in the desert homeworld. So smart. Agreed. And Mario Odyssey actually did something very similar, where for most of the time the player spends in the desert-themed stage, initially, most of the landscape is frozen over. And only later on do things thaw out.
Spyro, some big Norks up ahead are wearing armor. And in the ice cave, armor can make their feet very slippery.
Nugget says, I did not know this. Fun fact, Insomniac moved to Ratchet after Spyro because they wanted to explore gunplay, but felt limited due to Spyro not having thumbs, so they just made a new IP. And I guess abandoned poor Spyro to have to shill for a children's Toys to Life franchise for a couple years before getting totally sidelined. Poor guy. I really hope against hope, that all of these remasters will spark some greater interest in series like this, Crash Bandicoot, Sly Cooper, even though that's a real pipe dream given how the last one fared, and we maybe get some proper sequels at some point, because I just think, imagine, especially now that we've seen the hardware for the next console generation, or even modern PCs, what you could accomplish, how big and involved and beautiful you could make a mascot platformer these days. Nugget says, Ratchet and Clank's designs are inspired by enemies from the Spyro 2 level Hurricos. I'm going to have to keep my eyes out for that then, because, as I said, I absolutely adore the creativity behind Ratchet and Clank, and I think it came from this. Well, you can feel it playing around, but I also respect them for not wanting to just, like, strap a bunch of guns to Spyro's back and say, here, we made it fit. Oh, it's one of these Shrek dashed right within range. Perfect. It's one of these Shrek... Thank you. We'll get it. We'll get it. It's one of these Shreks from the box art. I do appreciate that the health literally follows you around in this stage, though. Come on. That's it. Doesn't appear to be anything down there. So we've got a dragon in there. Anything back here? It doesn't look like, emphasis on look like, this level's going to be quite as open-ended as the last ones were, which is perfectly fine by me, because again, the overall design is just gorgeous. Oh, these are not actual gems we can collect, it doesn't appear. Well, alright then. Gonna have to keep that in mind. I think I can get us that key. Spyro's Glide actually feels like a way more responsive version of Rayman's famous helicopter hair. Helicopter? And this is where the previous path joins back up with this one, I assume. Oh dear. Okay, so now we're going to have to remember how to decelerate, or decline once we're gliding. We'll free this guy first. Nugget says, I'm really hoping for a Spyro 4 remake. The reason Spyro 4 was so trash is because the game was rushed beyond belief. I'm not surprised. I think they only had like 4 months or something ridiculous like that instead of a full year like they expected, but yeah, there's no way you could handle a platformer of even to this scale in 4 months, I don't think, back then. Or indeed, at any time. Spyro 4 was originally planned to have 4 or 5 homeworlds and feature Ripto and Nasty as recurring enemies. Unfortunately, because of the rush, they were forced to whittle it down to 1 homeworld. Such a shame. It really is. Especially since they ended up selling it, I think, for full price when it had, I think, really a fraction of the content that any entry in the original trilogy did. Nugget says, but my hope is that Toys for Bob is able to remake Spyro 4 as it was originally intended with multiple homeworlds and more bosses. I would love to see that. I would just love to see more games like this, period. Okay, so... there it is. Square button allows us to land. Looking at Spyro, I just find his character design incredibly endearing. Like, this little fella was made for merchandising. There we are. Now let's go back up there once more to, crack that chest open. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I tried to explain this to the audience yesterday, but Spyro 1 and 2 were remade by Toys for Bob, and Sansaru, the folks behind Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, handled the third remaster, or remake, correct? If so, I'm very excited to see how their work turned out, because I was a huge fan of the Sly trilogy, or the Sly remaster collection, and Thieves in Time. Nugget says, or alternatively, they could remake Spyro 4 as a DLC add-on to Reignited. This could work, as you could argue the homeworld in Spyro 4 is just an extension of the Artisan's homeworld. Yeah, I do remember that. I distinctly recall the actual homeworld looking incredibly similar to the overworld, or first overworld for this game, if not exactly the same. I don't know, I think, like, you've got sufficient fan demand now that you could do wonders remaking it as intended, like, or I should say just making it as intended, at full length. And you could release it as, like, kind of a budget standalone thing, maybe like 20 or 30 bucks, somewhere around there. Yeah, this is a pretty great little platformer, I have to say. I can definitely see what all the buzz is about now. And I can see, like, how ridiculously off-base the game I played was. Nugget says, other people are theorizing this too, as the giant double doors in the Artisan's home and Reignited weren't there in the original. Really? I was wondering what we'd have to do to open those, in last night's stream. And the doors have physics when you charge them. Seems like a crazy detail to add if you're not planning to do anything with it later. I would agree. Yeah, that's... hopefully they give us something like that. Oh, they're mobile. They on skis now. And just as dead. Oh, okay, so dodging does not give you just, like, massive iframes. I learned that now. Nugget says, unfortunately, they don't do anything yet. That's why we think the Spyro 4 DLC thing might happen. I hope so. If I could get more content like this, I would be in heaven. We earned the Triathlon Trophy. Lots of trophies in this game, which that tends to be the case for a lot of remasters. They tend to just be covered in trophies, but... okay, so we headbutt the post. Alrighty. Nugget says, people have been able to clip through the doors using a swim-in air glitch, and there is a tiny room behind them, but it's completely empty. Weird. Yeah, it makes me think they're either going to do something with them, or they use an addition like that to maybe build up hype for some future project. Alright, come on. Give me your worst. There we go. One of the most impressive things to me thus far is how just about every stage has completely unique enemies, even if only in their visual design. It's very, very impressive that they put in that much effort.
You've done well, Spyro. Some dragons thought you weren't ready, but I knew they were wrong.
I'm ready, all right. Ready for what?
Let's see. One more dragon. Alrighty. I have no idea what these large purple ones even do. I don't think I've ever gotten close enough to one of them to find out. Nugget says totally they went all out on the enemy design. They did, and I always really appreciate that. Even if there's just aesthetic differences, enemies can really be used to add additional flavor to environments and kind of build your world just through visual storytelling, so I appreciate having some greater variety present there. Would have been so easy to just reuse the same handful of enemy types. And in terms of types, well, actually they kind of did, but they gave them a variety of beautiful little looks depending on the specific stage, not even the world, which I think is just beyond cool. Okay, I think I know what we have to do here. First things first, let's go grab those gems that were on posts a bit earlier on, which will give us all the gems for this particular stage. Nugget says, I love how Tom Kenny, VA of Spyro 2 and 3, was able to make his voice higher pitched in this game to make it sound more like Carlos Alazraqui, who voiced Spyro in Spyro 1. Now that you mention it, I can definitely hear SpongeBob in the voice acting. I had no idea that was Tom Kenny. But he turns in a great performance, as ever. I think... because he tends to get typecast pretty often, I think. Because he's got, like, such a great voice for very peppy, youthful characters. But when I was younger, he voiced, a very unusual interpretation or a depiction of Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man Unlimited cartoon. It was a very dark kind of Knight of Cerberus style villain, and he did fantastically in that role as well. Nugget says Tom Kenny is the best, and he lowers his voice a little in Spyro 2 and 3 like in the originals. Spyro sounds much more mature in 2 and 3. So, I've not watched SpongeBob, or indeed, like, really any cartoons that aren't Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I find it an incredibly entertaining show to just kind of point and laugh at, in years. But I saw just the other day, it was just last night, that a relatively recent episode of SpongeBob actually made direct reference to an infamous creepypasta about the show. So... They're running out of ideas, quite possibly. And there's our final dragon for this world.
Thanks for freeing me, Spyro. And now, where was I?
That is an incredibly swole old man. Good job working on them gains, sir. Alright. That's yet another level down. I think now we may be down to the free-flying stage and the boss. I doubt we're going to be able to pull off the feat of getting all the objectives in the flying stage in one go this time around. It's probably going to take us a couple tries. Or no, we've already been in here, I want to say. Nugget says you need a custom profile picture, boy. Oh, I know. I know. See, though, I'm so, like, boring and uncreative. My first thought when it came to setting everything like that up is, oh, I know, I'll just use the official portrait I use for, like, anything related to school or classes I take or teach, anything like that. Like the very professional photo of me in, like, a wine red suit. But I don't think that screams, hey, this is a fun stream you might want to check out. Okay, so, oh, was this it? No, that's the ice cavern. I'm so good at remembering where I haven't been. It should be over here somewhere. The night writing stage. Nugget says, I agree, you're much more than just a smarty professor boy. I never claimed to be a smart professor. My pedagogy is best described as running like a raucous, really rickety pirate ship barely into port before it capsizes. And I and my students have come to just love that. I do way better than I thought I would going in, even though this is like what I want to do professionally for the rest of my life. But I had no idea that my extremely unprofessional laid-back style would be as effective as it has been. Here it is. Here's Night Flight. Whoopsie. Yeah, I'll think of something for some kind of custom profile picture. I'll see what I can do. Nugget says, that would remind me of Call Me Carson making his profile pic his school headshot. Everyone thought he was memeing and making fun of some poor kid until he did a face reveal and they realized it was actually him. Oh, poor guy. Alright, so starting off strong with some Spyro 64. Gotta fly through some glowing rings. I really like the way these stages are designed, as one objective tends to lead you directly into the area where you can find the next. I may have missed one. Did I miss one? I did not miss one. It's probably isn't gonna be the run, but... Oh, we've got some more of these little arches. Oh, and we drowned because we're the best dragon. Nugget says, I can help make a logo if you want. I do graphic design. Oh, that would be so kind. Thank you so much. I may just take you up on that at some point. And also, I love the music in the flight levels. They're probably the strongest from Spyro in my opinion. Whoops, we are going to retry that. We are going to retry that right quick. Oh, yeah. Oh, I should switch to the original soundtrack real quick just for this stage. You got it. Oh yeah, yeah, this is nice. This is bouncy, bass-heavy stuff that tended to sound really good on like a PS1 sound card. Yeah, I'm about this. Nope. Are you kidding me? Oh, we actually survived a landing. Good job, Spyro. Alright, I'm curious to see what the final objective here is. Oh, it's lighting beacons. Of course. Well, we're not going to do that this run, but we'll try one more time. All we need is are the lights. We've got everything else. Everything else. I don't know if there's a boost button. Oh, dang it. That is not what I wanted to do. Hold on, I'm experimenting with controls, which is always a good idea. So we do have like an about face. No. Yeah. My relentless perfectionism is kicking in. Oh, and there's a button to just make you drop from the air. Wasn't expecting that. Yeah, Nugget says, as a general hint, try a different route if you keep running out of time. Thank you, I will do. Now, I know the progression here is obvious from, like... Oh, jeez. Rings to chests. But if that fails, I could do, like, rings then lights, as it seemed like the little sequence of beacons wasn't too terribly far from where we were. The arches are actually probably the most difficult part of this because you've got to really skim the water for a couple of them. Okay. There we go. By the hairs on my chin, but we got it. Nugget says, you can honestly do it in whatever order you like, it still wins, just easier some ways than others. From what I remember, I think I personally go rings then lights, but I'm not sure. Yeah, looking at that, rings then lights probably would have been easier. But, okay, we did it. Lovely. No, I honestly don't see why people absolutely hate those levels. I think, at their very worst, you could say they're totally inoffensive. They are not the mechanics from Ukulele I referred to, the, like, now notorious Cardos runs. No. Perfectly functional. Brief. Just a nice little diversion. I dig them. Now let's go fight Dr. Shemp and hope for a better boss fight. So far, the only real area I can say that the game needs a lot of work, or would need a lot of work, is in its boss design, based off of Toasty. Hopefully this is a bit better. Oh, we've got an eclipse, I think. Lovely. So we've got 300 gems here, and just the one dragon. Poor guy, he really tried his best. Oh yeah, that's a beautiful skybox. Well, looks like we didn't even have to do anything. They took themselves out. Right on. Oh wait, hold on. Let's adjust our soundtrack back. Nugget says Spyro 2 and 3 have proper bosses, and they're hard. Some of them have even been compared to Dark Souls, pathetically enough, by journalists who don't know what they're saying. And yeah, no, this is a gorgeous little skybox, and I think they really went all out with the, oh, there was a second one. There was a second one. With the, kind of desert or arid steppes biome here. I really dig it. Compared to Dark Souls, that's gonna be interesting. To go from Toasty to that, I've no idea how they managed. Speaking of, Nugget, how much progress have you made in Dark Souls? I know, a good while ago you were playing your way through the third, I think? I'm terribly excited because a Demon Souls remaster has been announced for PS5, meaning I can actually share one of my favorite games of all time with my small little audience here. Nugget says, I'm contemplating getting Reignited on Switch, even though I already have 2 copies of it, one on PC and PS4. I mean, given the climate of the world right now, I'd say go ahead and treat yourself. If you feel like going for a trilogy of trilogies is something you need, go for it. Nugget says, I haven't made any more progress since I streamed it last. Life got in the way, you know, I tried to stream again. Or I need to stream again. Yeah, sure, absolutely. Whenever you'd care to, I'll definitely do my best to drop in. I love seeing Dark Souls runs. And I think you, based on what I recall, you were doing really, really well. Hiccup with, I think it was the curse-rotted Greatwood aside? Okay, I'll come back for you. Man, or wait, no. Okay, you're safe for now. For now. Nugget says, I have Spyro on a PS1 emulator on my phone as well. I think I'm addicted to this franchise. There are far worse things to be addicted to. Trust me. Trust me.
Dr. Shemp thinks he's so cool. You don't know what it's been like listening to him over and over. But I tell you one thing. He should watch his back.
Or what? You're going to run away and leave a child to do your job? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, now we can take out this last enemy. Nugget says, me doing well? Yeah, from what I recall, you did really, really well for somebody who was like having their first real experience with the franchise. My first run of Dark Souls 1, trust me, went a whole lot worse. A whole lot worse. And it says, Spyro's my babysitter growing up. Yeah. Well, also having a very secluded childhood, I feel a similar connection to the franchises I played a lot. So your Kingdom Hearts, your, Ratchet and Clank, obviously. What else? Sly Cooper. Oh my god, Sly Cooper is probably, regardless of how it's perceived by critics, my favorite mascot platformer series of all time. So we'll come back to Dr. Shemp momentarily. Well, no we won't, because I think we're going to need to fight him to be able to access that one little purple gem over there. Alright, Doc, show us what you got. Oh no, we've just got to attack his delicately crafted butt. Okay. Phase 2? No, it says you were homeschooled too, right? From what I remember. Yeah, absolutely, I sure was, straight through. Until I went to community college. Oh, does he have... You got another trick for us, Doc, or... That'd be a big no. Okay. Well, hey, credit to them. Each phase, if it could be called that, does require a slightly different strategy, so this is an improvement from Toasty. Not that there are many things that wouldn't be. Oh, same thing? Alright. And down goes Dr. Shemp. Very easy boss, extremely simple, but had a kind of neat design, full of personality like most of the Norks, and actually a lot of fun. Well, no, delicately crafted, it was. Somebody, you know, if you do design, some poor modeler had to spend hours, like, just shaping the contours of Nork ass. And that was their work day, possibly their work week. And they had to go home to their loved ones and explain, hey, what did you do at work today? Oh, well. Oh wait, no. I know what I'm doing wrong. There was a second updraft right over here that I totally forgot about because I'm good at video games. And yes, now we can get that last gem. Nugget says, did you see the Nork booty in the Peacekeeper's homeworld? Yes. Hey, Maisie, how's it going? Welcome aboard. Oh, and I guess kind of as a general advertisement, or a general announcement to everyone, including anybody catching this after the fact on YouTube's VOD library, hey, feel free to check out the bio section of my Twitch page to find a permanently available link to our new Discord, just because it was requested by a couple people, Maisie included, and we're actually up and running over there. I'm amazed. I'm terrible with tech, but it was so easy, even for me. Maisie says it's going awesome and amazingly. What about you? Doing just fine, thank you. We are coming up on, well, we got about 25 minutes roughly left of this first half of the stream. Then I'm going to break for about an hour, and thereafter we'll come back for a full 3 hours from our standard 6 to 9 time slot. And I do hope you guys will join us again then.
How fast you found so much stolen treasure.
I can't believe how little the Peacekeepers attempted to help us.
Magic Crafters World, if you're ready.
Yes, of course, Magic Crafters. This is going to be amazing. Thank you so much, Nugget. I appreciate it. And thank you, Maisie. That's lovely. It's not going to be terribly active aside from stream announcements, unless folks want to use it as like a forum just for general chat, in which case you're more than welcome to. But I'll probably just use it if I'm not posting stream announcements to, like, basically share my favorite meme, Viper the Rapper, and nothing else. Okay, Magic Crafters, I'm looking forward to this, because the theming for this next world, I'm guessing, is going to be a little bit more unorthodox, and probably a little bit more varied within the world. I mean, the Peacekeepers world was probably one of the loveliest, like, steppe or mountain biomes I've seen in a mascot platformer in some time. But this sounds like it's going to be something a little different. Nugget says, are you still living in the same place, or are you back home? No, I'm still living in my new apartment, not far from university. And, well, it's amazing, right? So I move out of the family home for the first time. Here I am, 22 years old. In very late December. No, very early January, my mistake. Oh, so this is going to be our snow/ice themed level. Interesting. Back in January. And I'm settled in and I'm loving it, and I've got this beautiful little apartment home. And I'm enjoying my life for roughly, 7 weeks of, like, an actual, like, life before the pandemic hits. So I've just been here on lockdown ever since. But I'm doing just fine. I'm doing just fine. What about you? Are you still in town or back home for the duration? Oh. We've got some seemingly human allies of the Norks here. So let's see, we've got 2 eggs. Nugget says, this isn't really an ice homeworld, it's more alpine, basically high mountains, but it's got a share of snow, of course. Alright, some platformers did really well with alpine themes. I'm thinking Little Big Planet PSP, actually, one of those platformers nobody ever thinks about. But, I will say I love the color scheme and the design. It looks very, very elegant and lived in, more so than the Peacekeepers or Artisans world. And that earned us a trophy, of course. Nugget says, I'm back home. I was thinking if you were here as well, we could hang out once the restrictions are lifted, as I don't have a car, but I guess that'll have to wait. Oh, well, odds are, in a couple weeks, I'll have some of my own medical restrictions lifted. Like, I've recently received clearance to quote-unquote double bubble or hang out in a slightly relaxed way with some of my coworkers or friends here in a couple weeks, starting in a couple weeks. So I'm thinking I'll head home for a visit to family, and we might be able to set something up. Definitely. Glad you and yours are doing well, though, because, goodness, things have been crazy here. Oh, and let me tell you, teaching or helping teach and, sort of supervise an online course, an accelerated 5-week online course, during a global pandemic is, oh man, that is just the best and the easiest thing to do. Yeah, no, it's been entirely too long. You're absolutely right. No, I'd love that. And in fact, I will make it a priority as soon as I can get back home safely. So it looks like the Norks have allied with some kind of hostile mages, and they can actually raise the earth, creating like individual little platforms, meaning we are in for some very unique level design in this world, I would imagine. Nope. Has it been more like 10? So correct me if I'm wrong, but I've always thought of it as 8, I want to say. Yes. Yeah, that sounds right. So we've gone from beating up Shrek to beating up elderly men. I will remind you, we are the hero. So let's see what these guys look like. Stereotypical wizards, I'd imagine? Yep.
When you see arrows like these, you can charge along with them to begin a supercharge.
Supercharge?
Yeah, no, okay, you're right. So it's... Yeah, I think we last saw each other maybe when I had just turned 14-ish. But yeah, no, we became really good friends right around age 12. You're right. So we got 300 gems here, right? Yes, we do. Entirely too long is the take home. Way too damn long. Okay, so we can't beat out all of those guys. The ones that were down on like that terrace, we could sort of cut short with a jumping ram. But these guys have just enough distance to get around it, or raise their defenses before we get anywhere near. Unless we follow the very clearly outlined arrows and... oh, geez! Catch fire, apparently. Just immolate ourselves. Nugget says, I miss being young and playing Skyrim for like 13 hours every day. Oh, same. Though I will say, as someone who has recently had the license for the first time in years to just sit at home and eat whatever he wants and play video games every day, it's fun for about 2 weeks. Then... oh, then...
This portal leads to a special place where you can learn to fly. I remember when I was a young dragon, earning my wings.
Learn to fly. Got it.
So, 1, we already know how to fly. We've partaken in at least 2 full free flight stages. 2, your entire species seems to be based around, or seems to have this like cultural ethic of constantly instructing others in the science of gliding and nothing else. We got it. We got it by this point. We got it. Oh god, we got it. Oh, look at the... oh my god, that is adorable. Almost like a Final Fantasy Black Mage. These guys are so cute. Oh, the character design for this game is so charming, really. Nugget says, now I shirk my responsibilities and still play Skyrim for 13 hours a day sometimes. I really need to finish all of, like, the vanilla content in Skyrim. I've played everything but Dragonborn, which oddly enough is the chunk of content I was most looking forward to when I downloaded the like complete edition on PS4. Because I'm such a sucker for Daedric princes and their lore. But I think I made it like to Solstheim or whatever and just didn't do anything from that point on. I got distracted or busy or both. And oh, there's still a section of the world we haven't seen. Always check behind the portals, if ukuleles taught me anything. Oh, here we go. Nugget says, I haven't even finished the main story in Skyrim. I always got distracted by the side quests and exploring. Still got the book you gave me, by the way. I'm glad it's been useful. I finished the main quest for the first time in, like, my most recent playthrough a year or so ago, and I can say definitively, yeah, you don't need to. It's, I mean, the special location you get transported to for the very final quest and confrontation with Alduin is breathtakingly designed. Something that you'll never hear me say about like a modern day Bethesda game, or anything in a modern Bethesda game, but that's about it. I personally got way more satisfaction out of most of the like faction quest lines or the Daedric quests. Okay. So somewhere around here, kids, there's gonna be a key. And I can use that key to crack open that there chest and get me a whole mess of gems. And also, whoops, we need to find our second dragon egg. Can't forget. Nugget says 2011 is modern day. No. I mean like modern Bethesda games, i.e. Fallout 76, ESO, Fallout 76 again. Even Fallout 4 had some really questionable design in certain places, unfortunately. I thought it was generally a pretty good game, but... Yeah, so Nugget, we're of one mind there. I've found the same thing. When I play Skyrim, for our broader audience, especially those catching this after the fact, I've always sided with the Empire every single time, because even when I apply like the very rudimentary policy analysis tools I've learned from my profession, A, they're technically in the right, and B, the alternatives are like really, really aggressive xenophobic racists in the form of the Stormcloaks. So no, I don't see why, other than the fact that like the faction itself is kind of cool or has this interesting lore, people would, as so many folks do online, try to claim that the Stormcloaks are in the right, because they're, or rather that they are the morally upright faction, because they're not. Sorry. Okay. Now. Nugget says, yeah, Stormcloaks are basically the go back to your country rednecks we have in the South. Yeah, no, they're like... That's actually a very apt comparison if we want to get into, like, economics and stuff that's probably way too deep and policy wonky for, like, a Twitch stream, but basically the idea of, like, xenophobic ultranationalism being embodied in, like, the Stormcloak ethos is, yeah, totally on point. Okay. Let old Brady see if he can't find himself one more dragon egg. And one... Oh, right, there's like an entire area I just totally forgot to explore. Did we already kill you? No, we didn't. You have a fresh egg. I see. Oh, wait. Wait. We're probably going to have to glide in and take you out somehow, aren't we? Oh, dear. That wasn't supposed to happen. I will get this. Nugget says, but something Thalmor. Okay, yeah, buddy, but Ulfric was sleeping with a Thalmor too. So, to be honest, I think it'd be super fun to be able to roleplay as an actual Thalmor member in a future Elder Scrolls game. Give another perspective on the matter. Well, in Elder Scrolls Online, one thing I will say is, even though it's not a good game by my standards anyway, yeah, you can play as the Thalmor, the original Thalmor, and see that well, first off, the original Aldmeri Dominion was nothing like its successor in Skyrim. And that the elves originally kind of were probably the best administrators and leaders in the Empire by a pretty wide margin. Oh, I know what I've got to do. I know what I've got to do. I've just got to wrap my head around it. You can flame the egg thieves too? Oh, yes, I know. Yeah, I don't think I can spit fire as I run, so hold on though. That might be a good idea. That probably is a good idea. Oh! Somehow we got it that time. Oh, I can? Hold on. I'm pressing both, Sorry, I should say as I'm trying to ram, not as I run. So, our remaining gems have to be somewhere around here. So we come in over here, right? And there's a key. There's a couple keys. I love how open and secret latent the overworlds are. Probably don't make for the world's most engrossing viewing, but got some really cool stuff here. If I can't find anything before too long, I may just dive into the first proper stage. Nugget says you can time it where if you let go of charge, flame, and charge a microsecond after, the flame will travel forward with you as you charge. Oh, that's really cool. Let's see if we can't. Oh, check that out. Lovely. It's a function carried over from the original game. Well, that's brilliant. I'm gonna have to keep that in mind. Now wait a minute, is this a locked chest, or... No, so we have to do something special to destroy you. Yes, indeed. Ah, here we go. Nugget says, gotta go fast. Oh man, poor Sonic. Have there been any, like, really big Sonic announcements in ages? Or have things been all quiet on our poor blue buddy's front since Sonic Mania?
Thank you, Spyro, for recovering so many of our dragon eggs.
Oh, it says you'll see what I mean by that in a sec. Okay. No. I'm all right. Beast Makers implies either some sort of like genetic engineering program, or that it's like the Dragon Brothel, and I don't know that either of those sound like a great idea for a fun little cartoon romp. Oh, Nugget says Sega says a major Sonic announcement's coming up for 35th anniversary. Just announce, like, another Sonic Adventure-style game, please. Or give Big the Cat his own solo adventure. You know, what we all need, what we all deserve. That is not sarcastic either. I genuinely adore Big the Cat as a character and wish he got a little more love. Oh, 30th anniversary. That's it. I am, as the children say, a stan for Big the Cat, believe it or not. Out of all the unpopular opinions on game design I hold, it is that I would say one of the most controversial would be that Big the Cat is an aight character. Oh wait, I know what we have to do. Oh yes, oh no, this involves actually like turning tightly and controlling Spyro well, and not like somebody who stayed up until 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason beyond, well, nothing else to do. There we go. Gotta go fast. I got it. Brilliant. Now we can actually see what this world has to offer. This was a nice, very dense little snippet of what the general design aesthetics are going to be for this world, but let's actually explore now, starting over here with the Alpine Ridge. And after this, we're probably going to cut it for like a 1 hour break before I come back and well, try to play a full 3 additional hours of Spyro. And who knows, I may either beat this game tonight or come very, very, very close. All depends on how lost I get inside these little worlds. Oh, very nice. So, even more gems now. We've got 500 gems per stage. And 4 dragons. Oh dear. You're a big one, aren't you? And now you're a dead one. Ooh. Took care of him. I love these mages that control actual platforms or various elements of the terrain. That's a brilliant idea for setting your design apart for the quote-unquote magic world. Nugget says, I could see you maybe getting up through Beastmakers in 3 more hours, but the last 2 homeworlds are much more difficult comparatively, so it might take another stream. Well, no problem. I absolutely adore streaming this for you guys. And I'm not going to complain about more Spyro. Now, when I play the Crash Bandicoot Remaster Trilogy, if I have to replay specific stages because of one box, like over and over and over again, that might get on my nerves just a little. And from what I've been told about the original Crash, that is definitely going to, happen.
You're not afraid of those big, noisy, gigantic, awful beasts, are you?
Of course not.
Oh, good. I didn't think so.
Nugget says the last 2 homeworlds probably take up 75% of my game time when I stream Spyro 1. Wow. Well, as I can tell, not only do things get more difficult as the game progresses, but stages become a little bit longer and more elaborate with every world as well. I appreciate that, I really do. Now, I do have to question though, at this point, the Shreks have made allies from seemingly every sentient species we've encountered save the dragons. So, like, have the dragons done something absolutely horrible to, like, invite the ire of literally every other civilization in this world that we just don't know about? Are we sure we're the good guys here? I mean, remember, this all started, in part, because the Dragon Elder wouldn't stop, like, trash-talking the, the Nork Elder on a really cheap-looking TV interview. So, I mean, I'm just saying, who are the real villains here? Nugget says, yes, they get much more tightly packed and require more backtracking, but luckily it still feels smooth because the levels are designed so well. Says, yeah, the dragons are basically Nazis when you look deeper into it, not even a joke. Oh dear. Well, that's just another reason why these characters suck, then.
Thank you for releasing me.
What? Why they all gotta have some kind of explosive? Nugget says, especially when you look at the lore Spyro 2 and 3, the dragons are really not the good guys. It's actually hilarious to me. I know, like, later entries at least introduce, like, non-dragon playable characters and allies, though, but here it's like literally everything we see that is not a dragon is A, kind of frail compared to Spyro, and B, wants desperately to kill him. I've not said much about it, but I really do like the design of this stage. It's comparatively straightforward and linear, not that that's a bad thing at all, but the color palette with all of the soft blues and golds, grays, of course, is just very, very striking. Nugget says, I wouldn't say the dragons are the bad guys, though it's a gray area, to be honest. Moral ambiguity in mascot platformers, that's not what you'd expect to see, but man, am I glad to see it here. Alright, so this is our exit portal.
Great work, Spyro. If you keep this up, you'll learn all the tricks of the Magic Crafter's world.
Nugget says, according to the lore, the Norks are servants created by magic, created through magic by Nasty Nork. That's why they drop gems when they die. They were created from gems. They're literally sentient gems. Oh, that's really interesting, actually. They've got so much character and expression to them, though. Like, you almost expect them to be a naturally occurring species in this world. I guess the same then has to hold true for all these other enemy characters we see. Oop. Let's get some gems. Alright, so we've got one dragon left to find, and quite a handful of gems. Nugget says it's a little less clear when it comes to the other enemies. It's not really stated. Spyro could just be taking back gems that were stolen from them or something. Possibly? Although, now that you raise the point of the Norks, it very well could be something like the Hoodlums in Rayman 3, where all of these, like, extremely unique enemy types were created by the fusion of a like harmful little parasite, the Black Lum, with a various assemblage of terry cloth, gunpowder, and different types of clothing and armor and things like that. Maybe these are all homunculi and Spyro isn't being just abjectly terrible. But I doubt that is the case. Alright, let's see if we can make this. So what do you do? That's it, huh? Alright. Cool design, though. Looks like the Norks themselves aren't going to be terribly present here. Instead, we've got this coven of adorable but ineffective mages. Again, lots of enemy variety. I dig it. I dig it. Well, they tried their best. Now there still should be one more dragon. Right? That's... yeah. And an egg. Ooh, I love all the little side paths and secrets they crammed into each of these levels, which typically aren't, you know, that large. Very densely packed environments, as opposed to, like, standard convention for environment design in a lot of AAA games nowadays, which is a sprawling, open environment that has absolutely nothing in it. I can say I definitely prefer this style. Oh, there he is. Nugget says it's worse in the second game. The dragons are hinted to be slave drivers, and Spyro himself commits war crimes by siding with and attacking both sides of a civil war. Again, it's absolutely hilarious. These dragons, man, I mean... Banjo and Crash didn't do any of this stuff. Though admittedly, neither of them are doing much of anything now. Nugget says 90s, early 2000s games did not mess around, man. No, they didn't. Same thing with, like, television programs from that era. Can you imagine something like Courage the Cowardly Dog actually being run on, like, a channel targeted for children nowadays? Be a very hard sell, I think. In part because it's not Teen Titans Go, but... I am in full-on grumpy old man mode today. Oh, this one is really hoofing it. Come on. Got him. Nugget says, I've got to go for a bit. If you take your break before I get back, I'll see you when you get back from your break. Thank you very much. I'm probably going to, as I said, cut for about an hour as soon as I'm through with this stage, which should be very, very soon. But then we'll be right back, so probably at around 6:15, 6:30. We'll see you then. Thank you so much for dropping by. Always love speaking with you. Take care. Alright then. We have 20 gems left, and we know where our dragon is, so let's go ahead and free him, and it looks like we pop over to the fireworks on the little platforms out in the...
Blue thieves have stolen eggs outside the magic
right.
as well.
The river, and we'll be good to go.
I'll take care of them.
A lot of fireworks, actually. And this one's gonna be a tenner, right? And that gave us yet another trophy, Pops of the Tops. Actually kind of clever. Lampooning, of course, the famous, I believe it's British, music showcase television program, Top of the Pops. Think of it as the UK's answer to American Bandstand or something, but infinitely better and more diverse in their offerings. Kind of a predecessor to later with Jules Holland, which is an excellent program if any of you are interested in like live variety music. And with that, I think we've got everything in the Alpine Ridge, right? Yes, we do. Brilliant. Loving this world so far. Loving this game so far. This is amazing. I can see why people are into this now. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, as we return to the Magic Crafter's world, I'm actually going to have to call it for now. If you're watching this VOD on YouTube, no worries, you can immediately dive into the next stream. Should be uploaded by now, but for those of us watching live, we are going to take a 60-minute, roughly, intermission and resume at around 6:15 p.m. Alright, thanks so much, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.